Good afternoon, everyone. Let us start. Remember, we have been learning chapter 15, Life on the Earth. And today we shall discuss about biogeochemical cycles. Now let me present my screen. Biogeochemical cycles. So biogeochemical cycles refer to any of the natural pathways by which essential elements of living matter are circulated. So it is a pathway by which a chemical substance moves through biotic and abiotic compartments of the earth. Here, biotic compartments refers to biosphere, and the abiotic compartments refer to lithosphere, atmosphere, and hydrosphere. So the movement of these chemical substances, through the biotic and abiotic compartments of the earth is known as biogeochemical cycles. So let us read. Studies have shown that for the last 1 billion years, the atmosphere and the hydrosphere have been composed of approximately the same balance of chemical components. This balance of chemical elements is maintained by a cyclic process through the tissues of plants and animals. So we have learned that for the last 1 billion years, the atmosphere and the hydrosphere have been composed of approximately the same balance of chemical components, and this is because a balance is maintained by a cyclic process through the tissues of plants and animals. The cycle starts by absorbing chemical elements by organism and is returned to the air, water, and the soil through decomposition. These cycles are largely energized by solar radiation, and this cyclic movement of the chemical elements of the biosphere between the organism and the environment are referred to as biogeochemical cycles. So here organism refers to these biotic compartments, and the environment refers to the abiotic compartments. The cyclic movement of chemical elements of the biosphere between the organism, living beings, and the environment are referred to as biogeochemical cycle. And this cycle is energized by the sunlight, the solar radiation. And we know that bios refers to the living organisms, and geo refers to the rocks, soil, air, and water of the earth. So biogeochemical cycle, actually this term is a contraction of this biosphere, then geo, that is earth, and it refers to rock, soil, and and other chemicals in the water sphere and this land sphere. And there are two types of biogeochemical cycles. The first one is the gaseous cycle, and another one is the sedimentary cycle. We have two types of biogeochemical cycle. The first one is the gaseous one, and the second one is sedimentary cycle. And in the gaseous cycle, the main reservoir of nutrients is the atmosphere and the ocean. Okay, so in the gaseous cycle, the main reservoir of nutrients is the atmosphere and ocean, and in the sedimentary cycle, the main reservoir is the soil and the sedimentary and the other rocks of the earth crust. So these are the two types of biogeochemical cycles. So next we have the most common this biogeochemical cycle, that is a water cycle. Okay, and all the living organisms, then the atmosphere and the lithosphere maintain between them a circulation of water in the solid, liquid, in a gaseous form, okay, referred to as the water or hydrological cycle. And it is clearly mentioned, okay, in chapter 3 of this book, but since chapter 3 has been deleted by the CBSE for this session, okay, so we are going to learn about it now. So let us see a diagram here. So this diagram shows this water cycle or the hydrological cycle, and here the cycle start with evaporation process. Okay, see here, cycle start with the evaporation from the water bodies. See here, evaporation is here, okay, from the water bodies, and evaporation from the reservoirs, okay, evaporation from the reservoirs, then evaporation from the rivers, okay, and other water bodies. Okay, the cycle start from evaporation process, and over the ocean, okay, say there may be cloud formation here, there may be condensation process, and because of that cloud formation, okay, and there may be rainfall over the ocean, or these clouds, okay, may be moving towards the lane, and thus causing this precipitation, okay, that is rainfall or snowfall here on the land surface. Then again, actually the evaporation process is also held by the transpiration process. Okay, see here, transpiration means the loss of water vapor from the plants, okay, through the pores of the leaves of the plants, thus adding water vapor in the atmosphere. Then after that we have condensation process, and after that we have precipitation process, and this water, okay, the water will be flowing down the slopes, okay, into the channels and the river, and some will be absorbed. Okay, those which are flowing down the slope is known as surface runoff, and some of the water will be absorbed in the underground. Okay, and those which are absorbed in the underground also will be flowing as a groundwater here, okay, as a groundwater, and maybe just coming out as a spring, or maybe flowing into a water body, or maybe flowing towards the ocean in this way. Okay, those waters which have been absorbed in the underground will be flowing towards the ocean, following the slope of the lane. Okay, and likewise here on the surface also, the rivers, okay, the rivers, all the rivers will be flowing into the this ocean, and thus forming a complete cycle, and this is known as hydrological cycle. Okay, remember the cycle starts from the evaporation process. Okay, evaporation process, and because evaporation, this water vapor is added into the atmosphere. Another way of this addition of the water vapor into the atmosphere is the transpiration. Okay, that is the loss of water vapor through the leaves of the plant, and after that there will be condensation process, cloud formation, then precipitation, that is snowfall or rainfall, and some of the rainwater will be flowing down as a runoff into the river, then the river will reach the ocean, and the waters which have been absorbed in the underground will be flowing, okay, in the aquifer, and ultimately will reach the ocean. So in this way, we have a complete hydrological cycle. Okay, so are you clear? Okay, if you don't have question, then let us proceed. Next we have carbon cycle. Okay, we have carbon cycle. So let us read. So carbon, okay, is one of the basic elements of all living organisms, and it forms the basic constituent of all organic compounds. And the biosphere contains over 500,000 carbon components in them. And about the carbon cycle, the carbon cycle is mainly the conversion of carbon dioxide. Okay, carbon cycle is mainly the conversion of carbon dioxide, and this conversion is started by the fixation of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through the photosynthesis. Okay, so the conversion of carbon dioxide is started by fixing the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere through the photosynthesis process. Photosynthesis, you know, the process of making food by plants using carbon dioxide and the sunlight. Okay, and just see here, okay, in this way. So here we have the main source of energy, that is the sunlight, and using sunlight and this carbon dioxide, okay, through the photosynthesis process, plants make food, and such conversion results in the production of the carbohydrate, then glucose, that may be converted to other organic compounds such as sucrose, starch, cellulose. Okay, so conversion of carbon dioxide through the photosynthesis process results in the production of carbohydrate. Okay, that gives energy to us. Then glucose, and that may be converted, okay, into other organic compounds such as sucrose. Actually, sucrose, it refers to the sugar. Okay, a complex sucrose refers to a complex carbohydrate found in many plants and used as a sweetening agent. Okay, sweetening agent. It means it refers to sugar. Okay, it is a sweetening agent. Then starch. Starch is also another, okay, complex carbohydrate found chiefly in the seeds, then fruits and tubers, roots, and stem. Okay, and sometimes we use it as adhesives also. Then cellulose, okay, cellulose is also a polysaccharide, okay, that is the chief constituent of all the plant tissues and the fiber. Okay, so cellulose is the chief constituent of all the plant tissues and the fiber. It is also a class of carbohydrate. Okay, remember these plants using sunlight and carbon dioxide. Okay, these convert this carbon dioxide into this carbohydrate, okay, and glucose, and it is further converted into sucrose, starch, and cellulose. And here some of the carbohydrates are utilized directly by the plant itself. Okay, so some of the carbohydrates, see here, the plants, after using the sunlight and carbon dioxide, okay, through the photosynthesis process, carbohydrates are manufactured, and some of the carbohydrates are utilized by the plants. Okay, some of the carbohydrates are utilized directly by the plant itself. then during this process more carbon dioxide is generated and released through its leaves or roots during the day, and the remaining carbohydrates not being utilized by the plants become part of the plant tissue. So we have learned that some of the carbohydrates, some of the carbohydrates are utilized by the plants directly, and those which are not utilized by the plant become part of the plant tissue, and by that process the plant grow. Then the plant tissues are either being eaten by the herbivorous animals or get decomposed by the microorganism. These plants are eaten by the herbivorous animals or maybe decomposed. It may be eaten or may be decomposed. It may be eaten by these plant eating animals. Just see here. Here an animal is eating these plant tissues, grasses and plants, or maybe decomposed by the microorganisms, as you are seeing here, as you are seeing in this diagram. Plants may be being eaten by the herbivores or may be decomposed by the microorganism. Then the herbivores convert, the animals convert some of the consumed carbohydrates into the carbon dioxide for release into the air through respiration. So the animals, after eating these plants, after eating these carbohydrates, these convert into carbon dioxide and for release, and it is released into the air through respiration process. And the microorganisms, the bacteria, for example, decompose the remaining carbohydrates after the animal dies. So when the herbivorous animals and the other animals eating these plants are dead, and then again it will be decomposed, and and the carbohydrates that are decomposed by the microorganism then get oxidized into this carbon dioxide and are returned to the atmosphere. So in this way the carbon dioxide is returned to the atmosphere. Just see here. Say first of all, using sunlight and this carbon dioxide by the plants, carbohydrates are manufactured through the photosynthesis process. Then again some of the carbohydrates will be directly utilized by the plant. Then the carbohydrate which are not utilized by the plant become a part of the plant tissue, and because of that the plant will grow. Then the plants will be eaten by the herbivorous animals, or those which are not eaten will be decomposed by the microorganisms. Then after eating the carbohydrates by the animals, then through the respiration process carbon dioxide will be returned to the atmosphere. Or when the animals are dead and the plants are decomposed, and these carbohydrates the carbohydrates will get oxidized into carbon dioxide and thus return the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere after using it. So this is what I call carbon cycle. This is what I call carbon cycle. So this is another diagram showing carbon cycle. And remember, here in our book we are mainly dealing with this carbon photosynthesis carbon cycle. Photosynthesis carbon cycle. Here activities of the human beings are not involved, and that is why we call it photosynthesis carbon cycle. And so this is the cycle. And here we have this storyboard also. Just see here. This is about carbon cycle, okay, and this is the storyboard. And let us read. See, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, what is going on. Carbon is attached to oxygen, okay, as in a gas called carbon dioxide. And through the process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is pulled from the air to produce food, okay. Then carbon moves from the plant to the animals. So here in the atmosphere, this carbon dioxide is present, okay. Carbon dioxide is present, here carbon dioxide, CO2, okay. In the atmosphere, carbon dioxide is present, and through the process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is pulled from the air, okay, to produce food by the plants, and the carbon moves from plant to the animals. Then the carbon is attached to some oxygen in a gas called carbon dioxide, and the carbon becomes part of the plant, as we read earlier, okay. Then when humans burn fossil fuels, most of the carbon quickly enters into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. Here in this case, the action of the human activities is included. Okay, when we burn fossil fuels like coal, petroleum, then we return this carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And so what about the contribution of plants? Then plants are a good starting point when looking at the carbon cycle on the earth. Plants have a process called photosynthesis that we have learned that enables them to take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and combine it with water. And using the energy of the sun, okay, the plants make sugars and oxygen molecules. Those sucrose, okay, starch, cellulose. Then animals. What are the roles of animals? Then the carbon that is in the plant moves to the animals that eat them. So animals will eat the plants. Okay, that means the carbon that is in the plants will move to the animals. Okay. And carbon moves from living things to the atmosphere, and through the respiration process. The animals and plants need to get rid of carbon dioxide gas through the process called cellular respiration. Okay, through the respiration process, carbon is returned to the atmosphere. Then what are the roles of decomposers? That is microorganisms. Decomposers help reclaim, okay, carbon from the dead organism and put it back into the carbon cycle, so living organisms can use it again. Okay, so microorganisms will put carbon, okay, back to the atmosphere, as we learn here. Okay, get oxidized by these microorganisms, okay, into carbon dioxide. The carbon is got oxidized into carbon dioxide by the microorganism. Then, and here the last part, fossil fuels. Natural gas reserves are more evenly distributed around the globe than oil supplies, and combustion usually happens when fossil fuels, okay, with fossil fuels when they burn it. And when fossil fuels are burned, carbon and hydrogen react with oxygen in the air to carbon dioxide and this water. Actually, see, some of the carbon, okay, are stored into the earth atmosphere, into the earth in the form of these fossil fuels. And when we burn the fossil fuel like these coal and petroleum, okay, carbon dioxide is released, and thus carbon is returned back to the atmosphere. So this is the storyboard. This is for actually explanation purpose only. but here we have to concentrate mainly on this diagram, and one more diagram is also there here in the book. Okay, so you may see this diagram also. Okay, any question from your side? Are you clear? If you don't have questions, then let us stop here for today. Thank you very much for joining my class.